Planning a wedding is a huge project, and lots of folks are surprised to learn they have to actually plan their wedding and then also plan an event the day before their wedding. So what's the deal with that? What are you supposed to do the day before your wedding, and how do you plan that all out? This week, we're talking all about things rehearsal and rehearsal dinner related. We're gonna hit on the who, what, where, when, why, and how of this, and then you'll be all set to get this checked off your to-do list. So first, who? Who are you supposed to include in the day before events? Before we dig into that, I want to clarify one thing. There is a difference between your ceremony rehearsal or ceremony practice and your rehearsal dinner. The ceremony practice is just as it sounds. It's a chance for you to gather your officiant, wedding party, and family together to practice the flow and process of the ceremony, so everyone feels good and ready for the next day. Typically, you would include your officiant, your entire wedding party, any ceremony readers or vocalists, your parents and grandparents, if they're part of your processional, and yourselves in the guest list for this. You want all the key players to be present if possible. After you finish the practice part, most folks take this group out to dinner or host a dinner at their home as a way to thank them for their contribution to your wedding, to welcome them to town, and to kick off the festivities. Generally, if your wedding party has significant others, you'll also invite them to this portion as well. Some folks extend the invite to out-of-town family or guests who have arrived early because of their travel plans as well. As you can imagine, this list can get pretty big. We've had some folks invite half or more of their wedding day guest count to their rehearsal dinners. It's up to you and your budget where you draw that line. Now what will you do at the ceremony practice? Typically, your officiant is going to walk everyone through where they need to be for the big day. Consider it like a dress rehearsal for a play or performance where you'll block out the movement but not actually do all of the talking. It should be quick and easy so you can keep your folks interested and invested. Since it's usually right before dinner, you also want to avoid hanger by keeping the process quick and efficient. At the dinner, most folks just socialize and enjoy a meal together. But sometimes there are a few toasts and thank yous. Not meant to be a preview or repeat of what will happen the following day, rehearsal dinner toasts are especially those you might not have time for on the big day. Often the couple will give thank you gifts to their wedding party that day as well. Sometimes they do this privately, individually with each person, and sometimes they do it as a group presentation for everyone to see. And now where? You hopefully by this point already have your ceremony location selected, so that location hopefully doesn't take too much effort. Sometimes that spot is booked with the wedding the day before yours, so it might not be available for practicing. I promise that's not the end of the world. We've had lots of situations where that was the case. You can also practice in a meeting room at your hotel, a large empty room at your restaurant, an outdoor space if the weather is nice. You really just need folks to be able to approximate where the aisle will be, and it can all be figured out from there. Location can be key for the dinner, since it's nice to find a spot that it isn't too far from your ceremony practice, but also lands you close to where you're sleeping that night. Most folks try to find somewhere with a cuisine that is either specific to their location. For example, in Chicago, we have a lot of Chicago pizza rehearsal dinners, or a place that offers something that is a contrast to their planned meal for the next day. Lots of folks also aim for something a little bit more casual, since usually their wedding will have some fanciness to it. They also consider this dinner a chance to save some money, which is totally fine. Now, when is this all supposed to happen? You've heard me reference the rehearsal as the day before, and that is definitely the most common, but sometimes it has to happen a couple days before or even the morning of. Try not to stress so much about the timing itself as the content of the activity to make sure everyone feels confident about their roles and responsibilities going into the big day. Why do I have to plan another dinner for a subset of the same group of people who I'm feeding the next day? I mean, technically, you don't have to do anything. I've had some couples forego a rehearsal because they had already decided not to have a wedding party, or decide to skip the dinner portion because they felt like there was too much overlap with their full guest list and didn't want it to feel like a repeat of the following night. As in all things wedding related, my advice to you is to do what works for you. It can be very helpful to have a practice run of your ceremony, but if you have a small wedding party who have all been in weddings before, an experienced wedding planner helping you, and you're not very nervous yourselves about the process, you can go without and things will still turn out okay. And finally, how? How do you plan this second shindig? Traditionally, the groom's parents plan and pay for the rehearsal dinner. But to be honest, since the way couples pay for weddings is changing so much these days, that isn't always the case anymore. Ultimately, you as the couple get to decide how you'd like to handle this. If one of your parents wants to pay, you get to decide if you're cool with that. And if you are, you still get to decide if that means they choose the location or you choose it together. For this part, collaboration is the name of the game. Work together to figure it out and you'll be all good. As you continue your planning process, don't forget to check out the video linked above where you'll find even more helpful wedding planning information. Happy planning, and we'll see you next time.